GM.
Yeah,
Hello. How's it going?
all good. We've been
Ready for another? I hope everyone got a great weekend. A lot of building. Now we're back for more, right?
absolutely. Just wanted to say there's a slight schedule change. So we were supposed to initially have a workshop with thirdweb and integrating thirdweb features, like all their toolkits in the apps. But unfortunately, thirdweb cannot. The developers from thirdweb said excused for today. We'll catch them on Thursday instead. So we'll continue with our usual program when it comes to all things Web3. That's something that just Matheus' domain, but of course, like we will have it tailored for ApeChain, and like let's kick it off.
No, that's great. That's great. So the things that we would see Thursday on top of third web, we're going to see today, but with all the tools, we're going to go to the knowledge itself, the smart contracts, what you do. I'm going to use AI for that as well. But then all the integration with third web itself, we're going to do on Thursday session together with the ApeChain integration. It's going to be very packed, like 2 hours of back-to-back content. And today we're probably going to go over like 90 minutes or so with the actual introduction for the on-chain components. We might touch that web here or there, but we're not going to use it entirely. The sessions are going to be more focused about the tokens and the smart contracts. Okay,
Sounds
sounds
good.
fun.
Yep.
Great. So, just a quick reminder: if you haven't already, please submit your homework form. I got like 3 4 people emailing me if it would be possible to add it and keep building on the project after the submission. And people, just to draw your attention, when you submit your with your public link, for example, with Vercel or whatever you're hosting. Every time that you update, the link is the same. Unless you change the deployment link, the link is going to be the same. So we are going to receive your updates. So every day that we log in your project, we would see the updates. The most important task to be done as soon as possible would be tagging ApeChain Hub in the social medias, as we had there in the forum, and posting the link so that we can amplify. Oh, people are building. Look at the amount of cool things that are being built. Because in this camp, we are not going to just build tech, we're going to build working projects that are going to be at the hand of people. So this publication, this putting the word out there is very important. Please go there, fill your homework form if you haven't already, and let us know about the progress of your project. Okay, good. So where did we stop last week? We went through all the ideation. We got started with our prototype. We integrated ApeChain by creating an account in the testnet, and then we started the environment configuration in our machine, going from V0, that is web-based, to running things on our machine with Cursor. And then we have we have the environment correctly. We have this session today for us to start integrating. Let me share my screen and get a quick recap of where we are at. And as always, if you have any questions, if you are falling behind a little, we can accommodate a question here or there. Our interns are going to pick up questions, they're going to be stared here, and then I'm going to pull them up. Thank you all that are joining. Thank all of you who are asking questions, saying GM, tuning up. This is very important. Okay. So just to recap, where we stopped at, we had this app built on Cursor. We imported from V0 to our own machine using GitHub, cloning it from GitHub inside Cursor, and now we have it open in my machine. And we were prompting the AI using this context of the LMS.txt that we got from thirdweb, and then the AI would be able to build the pages, the components inside the app as we need, right? If you don't know what I'm speaking about, probably you missed the last sessions. There are the YouTube recording links in the Luma page. Then you should watch these before proceeding, because then we're going to speak about these terminologies, these things that we might have lost. But if you paid attention on last lesson, and if you did your homework project, you should have something like that. You might be using your own environment, or using Cursor, Windsurf, Client, something like that in your machine for you to build this project. And then you might have chatted with the AI, prompted it through some changes until you implemented some of your features, a login, a wallet connection, a game, social, something like that, right? So how to view this app? Let me see. Because when we use Viseur app, we can just click on the publish link. I don't need to run any commands at all. Then I can view the website, right? Here is a little more tricky. We would need to run a terminal command. I went through this very fast on last session because this is not that beginner friendly. Whenever I'm using the terminal, I'm doing commands in my computer using my tools, my environment. So depending on your environment, you might have different tools, different versions of Node and npm and all, but there is a shortcut. Let's see if you remember. We use an AI. We would use one of the chat tabs with the AI, and then we would ask the agent to run the app just with English. I don't need to do the terminal command for that. I just want to run this app for me, please, please. You don't need it. You don't need all of that. You just need to run this app. The AI is going to know, okay, we're using some models here. Specifically in this situation, I guess the model is going to be Gemini. Oh, 4.5, that's a good one. So we are using these models that can go from this string, run this app, to actual commands in my machine, so that I don't need to memorize. Oh, dang. I've hit my
Fail.
usage limit. If you don't hit your usage limit, you're doing something wrong. Okay, let me see. I was just using it right now. Wait a minute.
You can just
Wait
use
a
auto,
minute.
right? Like say,
Yeah. No, yeah, I did something wrong here. I was literally using it like 10 minutes ago. It's not possible that it's going to hit the limit right now. Let me just see one thing. I should have access to the free agent here. Let me see. Whatever. Cursor or small. Let's see. Yeah, I'm having technical difficulties here. Um, okay,
if you have
let me
Windsurf,
open
maybe you can
this.
open it.
Yeah, I was considering. Yes, I do have some models that I can use here for some reason, but whatever. I'm going to use another app. Okay, it was not planned, but I am going to use another app called Windsurf. Thank you for the suggestion, Alok. I do have credits for Windsurf. If you guys want to check, like send me an email, a message. It's going to work just like Cursor, and we're going to have the same flow. Okay, like coin flip. This is the project. That's crazy. I was literally prompting Cursor like 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. So bad luck.
The demo gods are against you.
Windsurf, it's quite similar to Cursor in the sense that we're going to have an agent running here in the right tab. We can do ads and tag the context, for example, the llms.txt. Some things are going to go different. Some UI elements are going to go different. I hope that you can relate. Okay, at any time, if you get lost in how to run the things I'm running on Windsurf, if you're using Cursor, you can ask in the chat. Someone stop me. I can go there and check the questions. Because or maybe you switch for Windsurf as well. It's a great app. It's your choice. Okay, let me increase the zoom a little. So what I was saying, instead of running the things in a terminal, look, even the UI is similar. Yeah, the terminal is here in the middle. I'm going to ask Windsurf agent called Cascade to run the app. And I can use any models. Here I have a paid account. So for example, I can use Cloud Sonnet 4.5 Thinking. Oh, 4. Okay, the 4.5 is cheaper than the 4 for some reason. That's interesting. So I'm going to pick this one, which is supposed to be one of the best models out there. And I'm going to ask run this app. Okay, and then it's going to be surfing.
Also,
Yeah, tell
quickly,
me, Alec.
while it's thinking, could you just like go over the models essentially? Because felt that like we didn't cover like which models to use, like how do they actually like price these things, or can you just use auto, for example, or if you're a beginner? Because I feel
Yeah,
that like you have different models with different pricing and which one is best for your use case. So I think like it makes sense
yeah.
to just like slightly cover it quickly.
It's interesting. I like Cursor for the friendliness, at least for now, because when you go from v0.app, thanks for bringing up this question, Alok. We don't have that many things to click. It's just a chat. It feels like ChatGPT, right? So
Yeah.
you come from ChatGPT, you go from v0.app, you kind of know what you do. You just follow the flow. But when you go for Windsurf, then you have all of these options. You have model, you have code version, you have agent version, you have chat version, and all. So Cursor would abstract that by using the auto mode, which I like to set like that because then you don't need to worry with what is under the hood. But with Windsurf, you do need to pick whatever model you're using, and it changes a lot on how the experience is going to happen because some of these models they are more capable of tool calling. Some of them they have bigger context. Some of them they have faster reasoning. Some of them can do the tool callings inside the reasoning. Some of them cannot. Some of them have different prices. So this is the thing. Alok, thank you for the question. This is the thing that Alok is pointing out. All of these models they would have different capabilities. Cloud Sonnet 4.5 was released like this week or last week. I don't remember when exactly, but it is supposed to be one of the fastest and most capable, most intelligent, more precise model. But it's charged lower than the Cloud Sonnet 4, which is like slower and dumber. So I just pointed it out. Sorry if it confused you. For some reason, they have like a promotional model here for the 4.5, which I'm going to test in live. Why not, right? Since
Yeah.
the demo is already skewed, we might test it live. And also, we have some other free models. This Code Supernova was released this week or last week, if I recall, and it has 1 million context, just like Gemini 2.5 Pro, which is paid. Code Supernova can give you 1 million tokens in context, and is a free model. So there are some very interesting picks that we can use here inside Windsurf. Some of them are available for Cursor as well. Code Supernova is not. So these are the models that you might want to study and evaluate when coding with AI. Okay.
I
What are
remember
your favorites?
when
Uh,
GPT-5 came out, I think like there was a window where you could use it for free for like 2 weeks. That was so
yeah,
I think that's what's going on with 4.5 as well. It's a new model, so they want users to adopt it. So initially they've charged it like really low.
yeah,
So tip,
nice. Cloud Sonnet 4.5. When was it released? Cloud 4.5 release was released September 20th, literally yesterday. That's nice. So we are putting it to test here. Nice. These guys are fast. Model was released yesterday, and today they already have here on promotional mode. Let's see how it goes. Then all of this technology, billions of dollars of investment, just for us to go from this string for this command, PNPM dev. That's brilliant. But this is the command, it's which is good for a beginner because you don't need to worry about your environment itself. The AI is going to handle the environment for you. You remember that this can be a security risk as well, right? I mentioned about that. I stressed that for 5 minutes in last session. So make sure to review what the AI is running in your computer. AIs can go crazy. This is a attack vector. You're exposing a new surface on your computer for LLMs to run things on your computer. So make sure to study this, what is happening. Maybe you want to run that in a different environment where you don't have money there, where you don't have a bank account there, where you don't have your crypto wallets there, because these AIs can be poisoned, can be infected for doing bad stuff on your computer. So running commands can be convenient, but also use that with care. So the AI is running this. I can use system browse. Windsurf has this in IDE browser, which you can use for like picking elements, as similar to what we did on V0. Remember, we had those design tools that you could select an element, click, and add that to context. Windsurf has that as well. It's just that the in IDE browser is not that equipped to run like MetaMask and blockchain integrations. So I'm not going to use that. If you're using Windsurf and if you're tempted to use the in IDE for today's session, don't do that. You're going to have problems with the wallet connection. I would still recommend click on System Browser. If you're using Cursor, just open the browser the normal way, and then you're going to have this kind of flow. Okay. WinStuff has these overlays like send element. I'm going to send this for the context, and then I can use that in the cascade. This is quite a nice feature, but this bootcamp is not about WinStuff. It's about vibe coding, so you can disregard this overlay and these features. Okay, if you want to use WinStuff as well, it's a great tool choice. It's not the most popular, but it's very, very efficient. Okay, good.
Could
Any
you just
questions?
yeah, I was going to say just like quickly highlight that this app is right now running in localhost, which is essentially it's running on your own computer. It's not live. So you
Yeah,
could just like slide, yeah, what localhost is and things like that. Just slightly cover that.
that's great. Yes. Remember last Thursday, we had this app running. We migrated from V0, used a Git for that and pulled it in my computer. So all of these changes, all of those files are on my computer. Okay. If I update these files and I push it back to GitHub, and if I deploy this on V0, then it would update your website, your public website that you deployed last week. But for now, everything that we are doing is in our own machine. So it's only local. It's only in your machine in a website called localhost in the port 3000, because you can have a lot of things running in your own computer. And this is where the website is going to be viewed. All of these files are going to be bundled in a distribution folder, something like that. And this distribution folder is going to be hosted with the web server on your own computer. Okay, so this is what we are seeing in this browser. Put this on the left. You can even go to the 3000 here. Get rid of this overlay. Let me see if I can. And that should load the app directly in my computer. You cannot share this with other people. Let me share this with a friend, with a client. No, it's not going to work. But like I said, if you commit to the changes, if you link a project to V0, if your project is there on Vercel, or if you want to host it in other places like Bolt or Replit, whatever place where you have your project hosted, if you have this GitHub integration and you commit changes to the project, you can pull those changes here and update the website. Okay, so that you don't need to worry with the CI/CD pipeline on your own computer. You can do that through Vercel, through StackBlitz, to Replit, whatever hosting that you prefer, or even AWS if you know how to hire an EC2 instance. Okay, so since we have the GitHub integration here, we can even bring the changes that we make in the repository to Vercel and update the public link. Before I do that, everything that I have, it's in my local machine. It's not going to be visible from outside. Okay, let's see what's happening.
I'm
It's
just
clogging.
bumping this one question. Well, because you were on the subject, so that's why just bumping this question. I built a web app with Lovable and VS Code. What's the difference to V0 and Cursor?
Yeah, so exactly what we were speaking about. Thanks for bringing this question, Alok. So V0 is web-based, Cursor is local. V0 would be compatible with Lovable, with Bolt.new, with Replit, all of these online versions that you don't need to download anything for a computer. And Windsurf cursor, client for VS Code, Quodo, all of these are working in your computer. So you need to download something on your computer for using it. Okay. Good, good. Okay. Thank you, people, for manning the chat. My server clogged. What's happening? Sometimes you would have some things running on your terminal like this. You can on Windsurf there is a on Cursor there is a small button that you can click. On Windsurf you can come here and click here just to see what's happening. It should be running localhost 3001 for some reason. Port 3000 is in use, so it's running 3001. I don't know why. Something is happening. Maybe I should kill this. Kill with fire. Okay. Let's see if
I think an instance was already running.
Maybe yes. Start a new chat. Delete this one. Okay. Start from new. Let me see if I still have it running here. So run this app. And you can even ask the AI to fix things on your computer. Oh, the website's not happening, it's not opening. The AI can scan the ports that you have. So the AI searching, my repository is running this npm dev. It should open it on the port 3000. The port 3000 is in use for something. So it's starting on 3001. It's not a big deal. You can use 3001. Okay, it should load. It's not loading as well. Maybe we should just wait a bit. You see the comment. It's compiling. Okay, that's good. Compiling my website. If I want to kill whatever is running on the 3000, I can also ask my agent, like, kill whatever is running on the 3000. If you don't know what is 3000, if you're confused with the technicalities of it, don't worry. The AI is going to handle that for me. It's going to handle the commands that need to be run, the process. It's going to kill it. Go for the history. Close this one. Wait. This one. Okay. So it should be running there on the 3001. It's still going, compiling, taking a while to compile. I'm quite sure that last time it was faster, but now we just wait a little more patiently here. Okay, any questions in the meantime? I'm just running the project. I didn't cover anything new. Just basically running the project and mingling with my AI agents. Okay. GM. If you join it late, don't worry. We're just getting started with the setup. We had the little schedule changes for today's session. Not covering thirdweb entirely today. We're going to do this more next Thursday. Today we're just getting started with our agents here. And it's still not going. Yes, it is taking a while to compile. This has nothing to do with AI. This is the project taking a while to compile.
We have to buy a new computer from Matheus.
Would love to.
Just like quickly, compiling is essentially it takes your code, like your entire project, and converts it into a language that your computer can understand, and then like run it on a machine. It all happens under the hood. You don't need to worry about that, but just for context.
Yeah, that would just wait. I don't remember last week. This was quite quick, right? We use PNPM as well, as far as I recall. I'm tempted to just kill everything and restart from zero. Yeah. Do you have a time for quick game?
Outbreak.
Oh, break. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting some NPR as well. This is where beginners can get tricked. It's like you do everything correctly, you follow the instructions, and then you start getting a lot of errors. Then import trace for this and all. Yeah, it is a little crazy. Okay, I'm going to give you a suggestion that works in 50% of the time. Close everything and open everything again. You would be surprised by how many times this can solve the problems. I'm going to open WinSuff again, and I'm going to delete some very specific files. If you want to do that on your side as well, these files, they are about the installation of the project using npm package manager for this environment called Node. I mentioned about this last Thursday. So I'm going to delete this pnpm lock folder file and the node models folder, which would be very, very big folders, a very, very big folder with a lot of files. And this is small file here. This is going to be basically resetting my folder to the initial state. Let me delete those files and folders. And then I'm going to ask the AI to install the dependencies and to run the project. Okay, the commands for this are very easy. npm install pnpm install. All right, so this is one of the commands that we should run, and then pnpm dev. The AI is going to know how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to ask the AI install dependencies for this project. The AI should know to use pnpm. Yes, correct. So it's going to use that, so I don't need to run anything on my terminal. AI is going to run this command for me, pnpm install. So here the AI is going. If you remember these commands on top of your head, please, you don't need to use the AI just for the sake of using AI. Save some credits. But if you don't know, if you're a beginner coming from v0.app or something very beginner friendly, and if you don't want to interact directly with these commands on your machine, you can ask AI to run these commands for you. Okay.
Also, for quick context, dependencies are essentially like pre-written code that you are using so that you don't actually have to build everything from scratch. You can use some like common existing code into your project. So it just is sort of like a cheat code, but it makes your life much easier.
Exactly. And now that we installed things, everything installed, there is a peer dependency warning about VM version mismatch. This may not cause issues. Okay. Some build scripts. Okay, yeah. So the AI is good for that. It's even helping us to digest the output, what is happening here. So whenever a known coder see a warning, you might know, oh, I should pay attention to it. Actually, developers know that most of the warnings can be skipped. Errors are bad, but warnings can be skipped. So the AI can even guide you on how to navigate through this. And I'm going to say run this app. The AI will know that the dependencies were installed, everything is there for running the project as needed, and then I'm going to run this command pnpm dev. It should work, should keep the project. My port 3000 is still in use for some reason. Maybe the problem is with my computer, something else entirely. So now I can go for the URL 3001. That should work. If not, I would just like restart my computer. Let me check if the output, see if the server started correctly. Yes, it is running successfully in the 3001 because the 3000 already in use. I don't have any idea what is there. And I can even open this preview browser. Let's see. I just had it open a while ago. I don't know why it's not working that quickly, but I hope that it can solve this fastly. Apes ignore warnings. Just ape it, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
if you see like a yellow button, just like it's okay. Like, as long as you don't see like a big red error, you'll feel fine.
Yeah. Okay. And the compilation is still going. Well,
Yeah.
let's move forward for the next step. I'm going to show the things in the app. Remember the gorilla clicker. I even have that on Visio.app. Remember that we had the coin in the middle, and in the top we added. You're not going to see that on Visio, but in our local environment we added a header that would connect with my wallet on would connect with my wallet using the thirdweb SDK. Remember, even my browser is slow for some reason. So this is where we went forward. As soon as my app finished compile, if it finished compile, we're going to see that as well in my local host. And for today's session, I was planning to add a card, and we're probably going to add this card regardless, with some on-chain information with the token, an ERC20 token, maybe even a ERC721. And this is going to be reading information directly from the chain. Using thirdweb, yes, but we're going to dive in deeper for that later. But more importantly, we should dominate these features. Okay. So if you remember, use your imagination. If you remember last session, we added this header with the connection button here. And today I'm planning to add a new card below, because when I click on flip the coin, maybe I could start collecting banana tokens, ape tokens, and so forward. We can do that with our ERC20. I can show ERC721s as well, and this can be even a multi-fungible token like an ERC 1155 that you could mint more and more as you need. So this is how I was planning for today's flow. Okay. And as I was explaining that, my app finished building. That's cool. Good. Took a while, but yeah, good. So I have this header here that I can connect to my wallet. Wait a little, and I'm going to connect with what's happening. I'm going to connect with MetaMask Flask. Should be connected to. Let me see. 3 MetaMask opening here. Come on. At this point, I really believe that the problem is my computer. So, okay. Should be connected to the Cortex testnet. Let me see. Yes, it is. ApeChain, the Cortex testnet. That's great. Close the errors. Okay, no one saw that. So we do have the app working here. I can connect my wallet. This is exactly where we left off last Thursday. Okay, I have it open here. So I want to create a new card in the bottom with some token information. And I'm going to ask this for my AI. I'm going to leave this tab working. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to add a new tab for chatting with the agent. You can do that with Cursor, with stuff. And I'm going to ask a new change. Using the LLMS, LLM s.txt. So cursor, see, cursor and WinStuff are equal for doing that. Okay. I could ask the AI instead of coding. If you're on Cursor, you can see this chat mode as well. Using the LLMs.txt, I can start chatting with the agent to discuss the implementation paths for what I want to do. For example, I want to add card displaying the token information for a new ERC20 token. I want to create for this project so that users can collect bananas and apes based on what they have, what they get after
What
clicking on play. What they get after clicking on play. Yeah, something like, imagine that you are passing a requirement for your own app. Okay, and this is going to be chat. It's not going to be adding anything in your project. It's going to be just discussing you and the AI. And if you don't know what is an ERC20 token, this is exactly what I'm going to speak about today. How you figure out, if you're not technical, what pieces of the blockchain technology are going to use, especially the pieces inside the ApeChain ecosystem, right? So if you don't know what's an ERC20, don't worry. This is exactly where I want to hook today's sessions in. The AI now can become your co-founder, your technical advisor, and AIs are way, way better for chatting than they are for making changes to your code. Because whenever AI is making changes to your code, it is using a capability for those LLMs called function calling, and this is kind of buggy. Even the best models, they have 80% or so of accuracy on function calling, and not always they get it correctly. Sometimes they hallucinate, sometimes they call the wrong functions, they make additions in the wrong places. Still, we have been using it to code. It has been working so far, but it's not the best use case for the AI. Chatting with AI is the best part. So if you can chat with an AI, discover what you want to do, what you need to do, and implement that either by coding or by using AI, that's the best flow. So first, the AI is studying your project. It is detecting that we are using thirdweb v5, which has an ERC20 token deployment capabilities, which is cool. Let me create a to-do list and then build a token information card component that displays information. It is coding, yes, but I would need to apply it one by one. And then Cascade got an error. That's not that cool. So you can ask the AI for whatever you want to know now. What, by the way, what is your C20? What is an NFT? What do they have of different? AI can be your teacher. I might be unemployed a couple years from now, maybe a couple months from now, because look, they can explain way, way better with more links, more information, and even more hallucination at any point. And if you want to have a fun teacher, you can ask the AI to explain this like a pirate or explain it like Shrek. So you can get funny with the explanation. But going directly to the point here, AIs can give you this kind of context. An ERC20, it's a fungible token, so that they can be interchangeable. So, for example, on fungible tokens on Ethereum or EVM compatible like ApeChain, they can be interchangeable and divisible, and all you can read all the information. If you want to get more context about your project, and now you can ask. The AI is being very creative here because it's saying that the banana token and ape tokens would be ERC20s. If you have 10 banana tokens, you have 10, they are exactly the same and they have the same value. Doesn't matter which one was minted first, last, no. And the NFTs, like on the hand, they can follow the ERC721 or 1155, as I mentioned, multi-fungible or single one. So this is one of the flows that you might start having with AI as you build your MVP, especially if you tie this with the ideation phase. What features should I put here? What gamifications I can put? What kind of token economics I can put? The AI can start chatting with you instead of just coding. The AI can chat with you for actually give you information, directions on where to go, what you could do. Okay. I do have some suggestions myself for you to navigate. That would be understanding directly from the documentation of OpenZeppelin. I'm going to go over these docs if you have time, or even going to do an implementation. But I'm going to drive it in a way that would make sense for today's session. I'm going to do that for the coin flipper here. but on your side, you can do some experimentation like this for your project. Okay. Any questions so far? Shrek teacher. Yeah. Explain this like a pirate. A French pirate. Okay. Yeah, if you think that AI is going to replace teachers, not me, okay? My jokes are way worse than anything the AI can come with. Like the gold double. That's good. Okay. Any questions, technical questions, problems? So we went over the whole environment situation here, and now we are diving deeper into content. Let me know if anything is clogging on your side as well. Okay.
Quickly, we can cover what's Open Zeppelin. It's a library of most popular smart contracts on the internet. They are pre-verified, and you can use this as a starting point. So you don't actually have to write all your contracts from scratch.
Yeah. So yeah,
And
look.
secondly, ApeCoin started as an ERC20 on Ethereum. So
Yeah.
like most people should know what an ERC20 is.
And now you can still bridge it like the ERC20 and then bridge it to ApeChain, right?
Yeah, and like now, like of course, a little bit of shill that it's on other networks as well. So that started with Solana and now on Hyperliquid as well. So it's everywhere.
That's super cool. Yeah, happening live as we speak. That's
Yep.
cool. That's cool.
And all through the power of smart contracts. That's the beauty of it.
So if you for planning things with tokens, NFTs, and all, you should read a little bit on the at least the technical, the overview explanation. You don't need to go to solid code deep, but at least the overview. This is what this camp is about. You're going to market, but then you need to do some homework. You need to understand what you're doing, so that you can build something that can carry value for your end users, right? So before going to open Zeppelin and the contracts, let's do that placeholder that I mentioned. I want to have a card. A lot of people are visual learning, right? So let's have a card where we have this information for now with a placeholder, so that it can plug in thirdweb to read this information. I'm not going to actually do the thirdweb integration, but you're going to know that thirdweb in next section would be used for fetching this kind of information from the blockchain. Okay. So let me start a new tab. Then now with the code mode, okay, just for managing context, I'm not going to tag thirdweb here. Okay, I just want to create a UI change. If you want, you can even tag the actual file that you want to change. Okay, we're using this file called page.tsx to have most of the information. And then we have the game here at CoinFlip that the v0.app generated. Okay, I'm not going to edit this file here, but the more context that you add, if you are a developer, you can even tag like the app folder, -app folder, something like that. Let's see if we can find a folder directories actually. So tag this folder so that the AI knows that it's going to edit this folder or the components folder. So if you are a developer, if you are a pro prompt engineer, you can use those techniques now. They're going to enhance your accuracy, your speed. But if you are a beginner vibe coder, you just want to vibe, you don't want to add context, you don't want to do prompt engineering, just vibe with me. Let's try. Let's see what's going to happen. Add a card below the flip the coin button. Flip coin button to display the token information for this project. I'm going to ask the AI to use placeholders for now. Use placeholders for now. Display contract address, token name, token symbol, total supply, and user balance. Eventually, we are going to mint this, or let me do this separate actually. Add another card to display the user balance in that ERC20 token. Use a placeholder for now. I'm stressing for the AI to use the placeholder because if the AI somehow thinks, hallucinates that it should integrate something, it's going to do the most crazy stuff. It's going to like use truffle, some crazy stuff, use some API, whatever. I'm going to use placeholders, and I'm going to have a card with contract address, token name, symbol, supply, and another card to display the user's balance in that ERC20 token as a placeholder. Balance is 1L. For some reason, I'm typing 2. So the AI is going to figure out what file to edit by reading the page.tsx, the coinflip.tsx, and all these files are the ones that are inside this folder. They were coded by V0 and then we imported them. The AI know how to find these files by itself and do the changes as needed. Okay, so we created this card. Now we have this balance card or something like that. Okay, should be good. I'm going to click on accept all, of course, so you do have that button as well. And I should see this new card in my page. I should see this card in my page if I refresh the page. Let me see the changes. Added 41 lines. So it should show something like that. Okay, the code is here. So I should be able to see it in my page. Okay, I do have it. Nice. See? So the AI coded this for me. Added some token information, added some balance. You know where this is going, right? This is just a placeholder, but eventually I'm going to plug this in the blockchain data. And imagine that every time that I flip the coin, I get a new token. Now let's say I need to spend Gorilla coin tokens to get banana or ape NFT, something like that. No. Then I could use that in a game, wherever. I could trade one for the other. I would balance them, put them in a pool, whatever things that you want to do. Okay, so this is just the UI part. How to create the backend part of it. Okay, so I'm going to ask the AI. Just ask chat. Going back to the chat mode here. And then what should I do to implement this smart contract now? Asking this question for the AI. You might have this question right now with the project. You created some UI, it's working, you have the buttons there, you have the forms, you have the dialogues, but you don't have the on-chain component for that. thirdweb is going to be great for solving that, but even before that, today, let's see what would be a good roadmap for that. So first of all, I would create the Solidity smart contracts. Maybe I would just vibe code them. And then I'm going to set up a development environment using Hardhat or Foundry. Okay, the AI is recommending Hardhat for easy integration with the Next.js frontend. I do recommend that as well. Foundry is great, but for integrating is a little more trickier. So then it would suggest installing WAGMI, VM, Rainbow Kit, configure the ApeChain network, and all. Okay, if you follow these steps, you might get a good result. For this bootcamp, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to start from the step 1 and fork from the suggestions that the AI gave. But you see how this can be helpful, right? If you email me with these questions, I might take 1-2 days to respond. If you prompt an AI for it, it might take 5 minutes, okay? Do both. Email me and prompt the AI. Then we can converge. And I hope the AI doesn't take my job that soon, but this is where this is going eventually. I'm okay with it. We have beautiful beaches in Brazil. I could be taking vacations there. So you got the point, right? At this stage, you are going to have your UI with some components that you want to click on, you want to integrate with the blockchain, but you don't know how to do. Now the eyes point you some directions. Instead of coding the smart contract with solidity, listen, I'll from beginning to end. I have a bootcamp for that. It could take like 6 weeks for doing that. Today we're going to do that in 5 minutes. We're going to use that library called OpenZeppelin. Is specifically a library called OpenZeppelin contracts. They do have all the libraries as well now, and this Solidity contract library would have all of the templates. Increase the zoom a bit. All of the templates that you might want to use, for example, for tokens, for governance, for utility, for access control. So, for example, an ERC20 An ERC20 fungible token would be like that. For building an ERC20 token, you would need to do this, and you would need to do this and that and that. So the whole explanation is here. If you have 5-10 minutes, go to OpenZeppelin docs, contracts, and read the documentation for this token so that you get to know what it's speaking about. OpenZeppelin is not a standard for token. The standard for the ERC itself. You can find in the EIPs for Ethereum. OpenZeppelin offers a canonical implementation of it, which would have some reusable codes that you could use for it. Okay, but so long it implements the correct functions of like name, symbol, decimals, and all, it can be considered an ERC20. Today we're going to use this application called the Wizard, the OpenZeppelin Wizard. Let me send that for you here in the chat. So the OpenZeppelin Wizard is not a vibe coding tool, but it can build code for you. Not with AI generated code, but with programmatic customizations. You can build your smart contract here in that wizard, like you build your sandwich, a Subway, like you pick your own options, like a self-service model. So I could create in this wizard, in this tool here, a smart contract called, for example, banana flip. But what was the name of the game that we did? Gorilla Coin Flip. So the name of the token is going to be Gorilla Coin Flip. Yes, Alan?
A Gorilla Coin. That sounds fun.
Gorilla Coin.
Yes.
Good. So GCT, Gorilla Coin Token, something like that. And let's say that we are going to have 1,000 tokens for us to begin with. Okay. And there are many options that you can pick, like double cheese, add bacon, and then lettuce, and then mayo, like you're doing a sandwich here. So there are documentation for each of those that you should read before applying them for your project. Okay. For today, let's just start with something very simple. Nothing selected. Pre-mint is good. They auto put there because it can save. Permit is good because they can save some gas and all. But let's not dive deep into this. And once we do this, we already have the code. This would be all the code that I need for deploy that ERC20. Interesting. Where I put this code? Should I upload that to MetaMask, or what should I do? There is a tool. I know that thirdweb can do that as well, but I'm going to defer that for the next session. There is a tool called Remix that I have open here already. Send that in the chat. That can handle all of this environment configuration for you. So I saw this question here. It's not a great place for being unemployed. I was mentioning for being retired, bro. Like, would they retire and I would go for the beaches? No, but I know where you're coming from. That's a good point. I hope that if or when AI takes our jobs, we are going to be in a good position with all the humankind that we could all retire and like go to the beach and all. That might not be the case, unfortunately, but this is where I hope that the humanity could go for. But let's close this window and come back to the camp, because we are learning something very cool. We are learning about tokens and smart contracts with Solidity. Okay, so going from Open Zeppelin to go to Remix, you can just click on this button if you want. Open in Remix. Why I'm doing that? Because there is no way to upload this contract code directly to MetaMask and send it to the blockchain. We still need to go through some IDE or something like that to do this. And Remix is a very good beginner-friendly choice. Okay. When you click this button, open in Remix, you're going to configure your website, your token in this website just by filling a form. You don't need to code anything. It's 100% low code. You're going to fill this form with name, symbol, pre-mint, check some options if you want to just leave as default. And when you click open in Remix, it is going to already create this configuration for you with everything that you need. Let me get my tab sorted. With everything that you need for this project, this is specifically project to run. Okay, you can ignore everything that is around. Is another IDE, the third that I'm using today. Went for Cursor, then Minsa, for now Remix, but you can ignore all that is around. Okay, this is your code. This is the piece of code that was generated with Open Zeppelin, and now it's landing here, beautiful. It's resting here beautifully in the middle of this IDE. This contract by itself, written in Solidity, it's enough. Those 15 lines of code are enough to deploy and manage a whole token, a whole smart contract operating token for you in a blockchain, in a ERC20 compatible blockchain like ApeChain. Yes, it is possible. How to do that? How to use my wallet here, MetaMask, to deploy this token on that blockchain, or an NFT or another smart contract that you're doing. You can pick any of those options in the Open Zeppelin wizard and use it in the same way. How to do that? I need to learn these powers. So pay a lot of attention. You should come. You might be in this file explorer tab, those files here. You should come to this Solidity compiler tab. Sometimes you don't have this auto compile. Check it like I do. So very important. Go for this tab, Solidity compiler. This is everything that you need to interact with in the compilation part. Remix and clicking this button. Oh my god, that's too difficult. I should click a button. So I know there are some technical complexities here of why is compilation, what is Solidity, why are we doing that. So at this point, we are abstracting like a week of sessions just with this step by step here, coming from Open Zeppelin Wizard and compiling it here. This is going to generate two artifacts for us. One, which is an ABI for us to interact with a smart contract. It's going to have the definitions for us to call the functions, and the bytecode, which is going to be the actual zeros and ones that the smart contracts can understand. This is going to be sitting in an address inside a smart contract, inside the blockchain, a smart contract address, and it's going to be able to execute code for us. This is magical. This is beautiful. And I do have some good sessions for that. Let's close this appendix now. We are not going to go in this direction. Just understand that you should click this button, this big blue button here with this thing circling. And that's everything that you need to know for today. This is going to compile those two artifacts, which would enable us to deploy that smart contract now. How to? You would click on this other button. A lot of buttons here for us to go through. This button called Deploy and Run Transactions. This is going to interface with your connected accounts to this website, and this is going to run transactions on your behalf. Okay, this is where you should pay a lot of attention. Compiling smart contracts, doing smart contracts here is not too much of a big deal, but this deploy and run transactions is going to do transactions on your behalf. So you understand the problem here, right? If you put something wrong, it's going to do wrong things with your account, right? So make sure that you follow the steps, that you pick this contract from Open Zeppelin Wizard, which is a battle tested, safe smart contract to copy from. And then you are going to connect your environment here. This first option, environment. You are going to connect it to a browser extension, and you should have an injected provider MetaMask. In my situation, I have this MetaMask Flask, but for you, you should use any injected provider that you might have. Please do not connect an account with mainnet balance here, either in Ethereum or ApeChain, whatever chain that you have money on, because this could put your funds at risk. I would suggest using a development account without mainnet balance so that you can use it safely here. Okay, pick a new browser and your wallet connection, whatever way that you would prefer, but don't connect an account which has mainnet balance here. I do have my MetaMask connected. If you don't, it would prompt you to connect. Just make sure that in your connection, you would select the network. Make sure that you select the network that we added last week. Remember last Thursday that we added the Curtis testnet and the mainnet as well. So make sure that you have this one selected, the Curtis testnet selected, and you should be good to go. Your wallet is connected here. And now when you click some special buttons here, it's going to do transactions on your behalf. I've connected my wallet. I'm in the crack network. I do have some gas here. There's some gas and some assets to pay for gas, some tokens to pay for gas. If you don't have ApeChain testnet tokens, you can buy from Alloc, right? No, just kidding. You can go for the faucet. We're explaining all of that last Thursday. You can go for the faucet and ask those tokens for free. Please do not buy testnet tokens. This can go very wrong. Every time we tried this in the past, it didn't work. So do not buy testnet tokens. You get those tokens from the faucet, and then you should have this balance here when you connect your account so that you can deploy this smart contract. Okay. This form has a lot of different fields like the gas, the value, contract, and now you can skip to all of them and go directly for the deploy button. Okay. And this deploy smart contract is asking for one input. For deploying that smart contract, I need to tell the IDE, the Remix here, who is going to receive the money as a pre-mint. Okay, this ERC20 default, when I put the pre-mint here, is going to receive the address of the recipient as a constructor parameter. And then if you are non-technical, you might be like, what? Are you speaking French? Or if you are non-technical and French, you might be like, what? Are you speaking Russian? So this kind of information, they are not written in plain English here for you to follow. So the suggested path for you here would be like, pick the smart contracts that you know how to use them. Ask the AI to explain how to do like total supply, pre-mint, symbol, gorilla coin, GLC, and ask the AI, chat with the AI for the AI to guide you on this. You can see that the AI is going to give you some other suggestions than what I'm doing here, but up to this point, the AI should be able to guide you very well. So what parameter should I put? What should I fill in the address? What is a constructor parameter? What's the address of the recipient? So this is going to be the address of the person who's going to receive this money. I can pick my wallet address from here, for example. I can pick my wallet address that I'm connected in the app and use this as the recipient address. Okay. Could be different. In this situation, I'm deploying with the same wallet address, but I could be using different ones. Because then when I enter that website, I want to see that balance there. Okay. So let me click deploy, fill up the recipient, click on transact, and this is where Remix is going to send a transaction from my MetaMask to do a transaction on my behalf. And then I click on confirm. Be very careful here. If you review this transaction and if you see that you want to do that, boom, you have a smart contract deployed. I can see that on, if you look at this tab on the bottom, you're going to see the transactions. There's a terminal inside Remix as well. I can see that transaction happened on the blockchain itself in the block explorer here. So this transaction did happen. The smart contract was deployed, and I can start using this token. If this was 2017, 18, I would even start selling this token. Remember the ICO craze. So this is the step by step for you to create, deploy a smart contract. The transaction is there. It's not loading the block explorer. Might be lagging a little in the test net.
Yeah, the indexing is a bit slow, and it's like slightly. So I'll give you some slight context because I feel that so essentially we are speed running through a lot of Web3 things. I know it can get overwhelming, but essentially you're like learning about contract deployment, like initial supply, things like that. It is a bit too much, but again, you're trying to squeeze like weeks and months of information in like one session. So we will be a little bit fast on in this part, but like we do recommend going through all the documentation, just ask AI, things like that. So if it feels a bit confusing, maybe take a breath, come back like to this session. So this may be a bit overwhelming, but it's nothing that like you would not be able to overcome as you go along.
Yeah. Thanks for the head, Alok. So this is the thing. We have our placeholders here. Now we want to fill it up. The AI gave a suggestion. So create a smart contract and then set up a development environment now. And this is the point where we're going to ask, what? How? I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to code that. How to vibe code. And again, thirdweb is going to have a very streamlined way to do this. I'm saving that for next Thursday. For today, we're using the old traditional tools that are like picking open Zeppelin contracts, creating this, putting on Remix, deploying now. But now we're going to link it all back. So if you went through this 15 minutes process, now we have a smart contract address that was deployed in the blockchain. Okay, yeah, the deployment is a little slow, it's not that visual. But if you believe me, then trust me, this smart contract was deployed. Okay, I have this address. Yeah, maybe I can demonstrate that in a better way. I can pick
I
my
was
MetaMask.
I was going to say try curtis.apescan.io. I think that's the other scanner, and that I think that should be faster.
Okay, well, one very quick and visual way would be going for tokens on your MetaMask account, and then you go for import tokens on Curtis, and then you just paste this contract address. Okay, if I went too fast, scroll down here after you compile and you deploy that smart contract that you got from here. Please don't be lost here because it's a single flow, but if you get lost, it's game over. Maybe you go back for the recording later. Uh, Once you have that deployed, you should see the deployed contracts in this tab. You should be able to copy these address by clicking this copy button. And then you can see if the contract was deployed, if the blockchain explorer is not working, by adding it to your MetaMask. You can come here to your MetaMask. You can go for those three dots here on import tokens, the token tab. Select the Curtis network, and then you paste the contract address. This is a very good test because it's going to pull up the token symbol, the decimals, and you should see your balance there of Gorilla Coin tokens. You can even send this balance around if you want. Cool. Maybe this is the visual part. Yes, in 20 minutes, we went from some weird wizard in a dock out there to actually deploying my first token in the blockchain. And I have it there for being used. And it's going to be even quicker when we go for thirdweb. Now, for implementing that inside our app, for reading this information here, getting maybe my balance, we would do on next iteration, or maybe we pick from something for the next session. But for picking this token information, we basically need to read the blockchain, read the state of the blockchain, public state of the blockchain, to get the token name, token symbol, and token supply, based on the same information that MetaMask could get here when we added the token. My website can as well. Okay. Look, would you have a few minutes, like 20 minutes for today? Maybe I can show this implementation real quick.
Yeah, sure. And again, like if you want to see the contract, you can go to cortis.apescan.io. That's our official testnet, I think. So I mean, like you would be able to index the contract deployment there.
Yeah. Okay, so if you deploy this smart contract, if you add it to MetaMask, check if it's working even better. I'm going to start adding it to my app piece by piece. Okay, I'm going to open a new. Let me close this thing here. Close everything. I'm going to open a new agent tab, and then I'm going to ask update the placeholder address to this, and then paste the address that was there. The AI should detect where in my app this placeholder contract address is, and it should update this with this string. It's not going to integrate anything in the blockchain for now. It's just a string, just a text. But it's going to guide the AI to finding the actual line of code where this placeholder was, and now it's showing this full address. Okay. So here I'm in the chat mode. I wasn't supposed to be in the chat mode, but whenever you are in the chat mode, you need to manually apply all of the changes. Sometimes can be a good idea. Okay, it's a little grinding, but this would apply this direct change. Okay. Let me change for the code mode here. Now the address. Let me see if I can refresh that. Now the address should show the new one that I have, 4C42. Oh, let me see if that's the correct one, by the way. Yes. So this is the address of this smart contract that I have deployed. Now we should update this page. For some reason, it's taking a while to reload.
Quick
Okay,
question, Matheus. It's
here
been
it is.
highlighted by Croc.
Yeah.
This is powerful stuff. If you want to start creating contracts, should we wait for the third web session or try this path?
Well, this is a good one because then you are going to get the real Solidity code. thirdweb would give you APIs for interacting this country as well. It's going to be cool. But like Alex said, this is condensing like 3-4 weeks of content in 20 minutes. And if you want to craving that, dig into that, into actually understanding what is working with the smart contracts, this is a good path. Remix, Zapnik can give a full plate on that. Okay.
The contracts at the end are going to be the same, even if you go via the third web path. It's just about how do you actually interact with contracts, just that changes. But underneath, like all the NFT and all ERC20 contracts are going to work more or less the same way.
Yeah. thirdweb is convenient because you just ask for a token and they give you a few options, and then it's like this. Go with this path that we're doing. We are building the token from scratch, picking some templates. But imagine a metaphor would be like you order a cake from a big shop, or you build your own cake by buying all the ingredients and assembling them and baking the cake. So those two different paths, they have different complexities, but at least you know what is happening there. You know what's inside the cake. So now we have the contract address there. It's not that beautiful in the page, but it's there. Okay, you see that we could apply the change. Now, for getting the token name, symbol, and supply, I'm going to ask the AI to use the thirdweb SDK. I'm going to tag this LLM.txt the same way that I was doing with the cursor. And I'm going to ask, read the public information from this contract and display the correct name, symbol, and total supply in the card. And here we're going to use a technique called hope, that we're going to hope that the AI is not going to hallucinate. It's going to read the context inside the LLMs.txt. It's going to follow the correct instructions for implementing the API calls. thirdweb is going to provide the RCP infrastructure now for reading this information from the blockchain. And if the AI follows the instruction correctly, we're going to implement that in the page doing the correct calls for each of those, for the name, the symbol, and total supply. Okay. And the AI is reading the information. Okay. It's building a plan to read the LLMS text in those lines of code. Okay. Can be a good one. Search the address, search the contract, search for the documentation again. It's searching a little too much for my liking, but okay, I understand now. Great. Now I understand what we're going to do. Since the LLMS TXT file doesn't contain the specific contract information, you want me to read the public information directly from the smart contract. Yes, the AI got it correctly, indeed. So to do this, I need to add the functionality to the read from the contract and updating the component to fetch the contract using the thirdweb SDK. Nice, it did. So imported the necessary thirdweb functions, created the contract information type, added the state and implemented all of that. All of this would require coding, would require like 1-2 hours of coding. A human would follow all of those steps. And the AI did that and even put some emojis at the end. That's brilliant. So the AI did all of these changes in the code. Okay. And for example, instead of having these placeholders of 1 million GRLC, now it's speaking the information, these code variables that are supposed, I hope that they are coming from the read from the smart contracts direct. Okay, let's accept that. We didn't even need to refresh. Look, the token name is now the Gorilla coin. The token symbol now is GCT, and the total supply is indeed 1000 GCT, different from the placeholders that we had before. Let me do this. Let me go for the get. Let me go for the changes. First, you see what we had before and what we have now. So I know that's not going to work. I created. So what's the quickest way for me to see those changes? Maybe I should click on review changes. Yeah, here. Okay, so great. So instead of having those placeholders of Gorilla Coin, now I have the contract info, which is also Gorilla Coin. Okay, that's not a good example. Second example, the symbol was a placeholder of GRLC. Now the symbol is actually GCT because this is what we put there when we deployed the smart contract, remember? The total supply was a placeholder of 1 million GRLC. Now it is exactly 1000 GCT, exactly what we have in the blockchain. Okay, it wasn't with a boom, with a blast, no, but what we did is it's relevant. It's I think relevant, maybe apex of today's session because we implemented without so much of a fanfare at all. We implemented a blockchain connection in a single prompt. After we deploy the whole smart contract, it's now connected. I can see the symbol. I can see the total supply. And if we have time, I can even try and integrate the balance itself for me to see my balance of the wallet that I connect. Okay. Got questions in the meantime for that? So here basically to explain that, to summarize what we did, we basically use a thirdweb. AI use a thirdweb actually. We use an AI for the AI to use thirdweb to import the correct functions and implement all of this blockchain logic in one prompt in 2 minutes for us. Okay. Any question, Alok? Oh.
Yeah, I was just going to say that like there were some conversations about where does thirdweb actually fit in, and I think like it's not just specific to thirdweb. It's like essentially like 3-4 years ago, you would actually be writing contract by hand, understanding how all Solidity EVM things work. Like right now, I mean, it would be great for you to actually understand how ERC20 contracts work, how do you deploy, how do you actually like deploy on a certain network, like for example ApeChain versus Ethereum, for example. But we're just like trying to abstract all of that so you can actually focus on intent, which is building the app. But it's good to know how all of these things actually work, so that as you build, you would actually understand like how all these complexities, how do they actually fit in. All these tools are built on top of that make your life easier. But at the end of the day, there is still a smart contract underneath, and you need to interact with it. So that's just like some of the context as to why we use certain tools, why we things like indexing and all of that. I'm not going to go too much into that, but essentially all of these are there to interact with the smart contract, fetch data from it, write data to it, all of that.
Yeah. And the old ways are not that old. I mean, most of the bigger projects, they go there. They go for OpenZeppelin Wizard, or they all use their own libraries to. I mean, OpenZeppelin contracts, or they use their own libraries for building these smart contracts. If you're doing some very complex protocol level development, you might even create all of these contracts from scratch without using building blocks. But like Alex said, if you're just doing a simple implementation, something that you can plug on top of thirdweb, that would be the easiest thing. Like 4 or 5 lines of code, drop in, and then you have your implementation there. Okay. So as a conclusion, I would try and do this balance card. Like I can just do implement the balance card now, and then I could do advanced prompting techniques like make no mistakes. And I could say that this is very important. Just kidding. There are some prompting techniques that are like that, but given like a implementation instruction for the AI, implement the balance card now. Maybe I should tag the LLMS again. Maybe I can take that from the context. But now it's going to implement the balance card to fetch the real token balance from the blockchain for the connected wallet. So it is updating the component to use this method called use active account, which seems to be correct. And it is adding a lot of lines of code, replacing the placeholder of 1234.56 to this new block of code. Let's see if it works. I might be lucky. Let me see. Not yet. Maybe I should refresh the page. See if the changes were applied. As they were, right? So refresh the page. Still refreshing. Yeah, and then if this implementation works, you can imagine that I could do more things. Like I could do a function, this smart contract, that when I flip the coin, I transfer this to the contract itself to another contract. And since I have 1,000 of these, I could spend one every time that I flip, and then it's you vibing on top of your contract. Here I'm just display information, which is easier. But if you want to send transactions, you can also use the thirdweb SDK for that. You can integrate those functions on top of the ERC20, maybe ERC721 for transfer, for mint, for burn. Okay. Oh, it worked. Oh my god. I got lucky. Usually my prompts don't work like one shot like this. Maybe the context for thirdweb is really good. Maybe it's Sonnet 4.5. Maybe this one is very intelligent, but it worked. Now it's picking my balance. Okay. Let me send some of this token away. For example, let me
Just
pick
burn one token,
the address of my account too.
reduce the supply.
I don't think yeah. I guess the address 0 wouldn't receive transactions with this one because I did not enable, but I can try sending it for another account. So I'm going to send this for account 2, and I'm going to send like 25 or maybe 420, right? So
69.
420.69. Still have time to do this, I hope. So let me super important, right? So let me send this token.
for research.
Yeah, for research purposes. I'm going to send this token for account 2, and the amount is going to be exactly 420.69. And then once I finish this transaction, the this is going to be confirmed on the blockchain. And the website, if I reload this, let me see if I can do it quicker by, maybe we should just reload. If I would disconnect and connect my account, maybe it would go faster. But yeah, there you go. Nice. So if I connect to my other account, if I disconnect this wallet, if I pick my account 2, okay, if you miss it the last minute, we implemented the on-chain integration for reading the balance, and it magically worked in one prompt, and then I sent tokens from one wallet to the other. Now I'm going to connect my other wallet, and it should show my balance 420.69.
Nice.
Nice, very nice. So we are integrating the blockchain here. The step that would take weeks of training, of explanation, and now we can do in one single session. That was supposed to be Thursday, but now we did today with vibe coding. With these tools, some of it we had to go through with the Open Zeppelin and Remix and all. Yes, but next session on Thursday, we're going to see an even easier way to do all of that. Some of it is going to be the same flow, some of it would be different. For example, creating the smart contracts, but now we can do all of those integrations directly on our app. Let's say I want to mint tokens, I want to burn tokens when I flip. Let's say I want to mint an NFT. Let's say I want to put in the liquidity pool, want to stake, and all of these functionalities are now accessible one prompt away. Maybe more if you need to debug it and all, but if you vibe code correctly with the same safeguards and context as we're doing, you might have similar examples, similar results. Okay. Yeah. So this is pretty much it for today as an introduction for the smart contract part before we dive in deeper with third web, right?
Yeah, so I was going to say that like before we go into again like this third web session, sorry for the like postponement, we want to have this on Thursday, but essentially again going back to with third web you could do it's like interaction with smart contracts is one thing, but then you could actually do a bunch of, let's say, advanced things, like you can bundle transactions, you can pay for gas for your users, you could actually do things like approve a token and spend a token, like all of those things in one transaction. So there's a bunch of other features. We've come a long way since the transactions how we used to have like 2-3 years ago. So we will get a demo and a sense of what are those like amazing user experiences you can add on top of that. But like for now, I think like even in this short window, we've actually like learned how to deploy a contract, how to actually read a balance, how to fetch the supply, all of that. So I think like if you would be doing this manually, this would take like it's going to take like quite sweet time. But this I mean essentially your learning is how to accelerate your development, and these tools already exist, so you don't actually have to start building anything from scratch. You can reuse existing tools. I mean, of course, like with a bit of a caution of what sort of libraries and tools that you use, but for the most part we've come a long way in development. So I think that's would be my closing statement, and we can move on to the questions.
Nice. What are the top questions that we have? Let me see. About cursor and Windsurf, a question that we had back there from Minty. We would start on v0.app and apply whatever you find it easier for using in the browser, but then we would migrate the code for your own computer for you to use your environment with cursor Windsurf. I was trying to use cursor, but got that problem, and then this is why we shifted for Windsurf. I'm going to try and fix my cursor stuff. If not, we can keep using Windsurf for the next sessions as well. Okay.
Yeah, essentially what you want to do is like actually have all the code locally, so you have like full flexibility how you're using, how you're deploying. And like that's what these IDEs offer you. This V0, for example, is a good place to start. But when you're actually deploying like full scale apps with all the features, you want to actually have all the code on all your machine, and then you could have a, let's say, on Git, for example. Git is a place where you actually store the code, and you can invite other people to collaborate on the code with it. It's like one of the most popular industry tools when it comes to storing your apps, your code for your apps. Yeah, I think that covers this first one. We could move to the next one about the security of AI built apps.
Yeah, we covered that briefly in the first session. That would be remember the T app and all of the possible problems that you can have by vibe coding apps. So on this camp, we're going to go step by step on guided sessions of what you can build with these AIs. And then you can extrapolate a little, maybe 1 or 2 steps ahead. But I wouldn't go way further, like having 1,000 users in your app, deploying to mainnet, and all before doing a formal audit. Okay, this is where a formal development cycle, like a CTO or co-founder, can go very handy, or even outsourcing if you have the budget for that.
The real cost to build this way.
And the credits that I'm using here, like Windsurf, I have this a free month. Anyone that would like some, maybe allow me could announce here as well. We
Yep.
can give 1 month free for everyone building. We have this coupon code with venture mine called V dash miner, all caps. So if you apply that for your Windsurf when upgrading for the pro plan, you should have 1 month for free. And if you like the platform, you can keep paying. If you don't like, you can cancel the subscription. And this would apply for Windsurf only. For Cursor, I've been trying. They are not very easy to get credits from. I do have credits from Bolt.new as well, some other platforms. If you want more, let me know. You can message me on Luma or in the Telegram. But the idea is that you are going to answer your question, Augusto. You're going to try and do this zero cost. Okay, you're going to save your resources, and we are going to spend very strategically whenever needed. Because I saw some friends spending. This became like a gamble. Oh, I'm going to put my credit card and just like $20 on this weekend, and then they get so hyper that they're going to have an app. They think, oh, this app is going to be worth $1 million, and all. I'm going to expend $200, and then $500, and then the credit card bill went to like $2,000. The app was super messy, and this was catastrophic. This can literally impede you, stop you from keep working on a project. I don't want you to go on this path. Don't gamble with AI. Use very precise, calculated bets with your money, and only pay for what is essential. Don't bet on AI not hallucinating, because often they hallucinate and just spend your money.
Yeah, and talking about platforms for deployment, you could use things like Versal. Versal is a place where you can actually take your, like if you remember what we actually had, like your program was existing on localhost, which is on your machine. But when you actually want to deploy it live, you can put it on something like Versal. Versal has a free plan as well. I think it's like 3 or 5 projects, if I'm not mistaken. Then you have, again, like it's really easy today to actually like build your first app and deploy it. It's like really cost effective, almost free if you think about it. Same thing with there's a platform called Supabase, which is for all your backend needs. You can store your databases, you can secure them, and again, Supabase base plan is still free up to a certain extent. So if you want to launch for your first set of users, you can actually do that for zero cost. And as you scale, you can actually bump up like different tiers based on your requirements. So again, like it's absolutely like it's dirt cheap now to actually, or maybe even free, to launch your first app and like send it across for your first set of users.
It can really save some, because when you go for AWS and EC2 and all, it's crazy. Like you can spend a lot of money with these instances. So keeping it controlled with these kind of platforms with free plans and all, it's a clever move. question about the AI capabilities. So whenever we ask an AI and LLM to compose things for us, remember you're using a stochastic parrot, something that we spoke about in the first session as well. They are not that intelligent. They seem intelligent, but they are just pretending to be. There's a whole discussion about that. A lot of papers are on that and all. So if you give enough context, if you push the AI in the correct directions, like with LLMS from thirdweb, and if we give that to the agent and give some specific directions, it can compose the correct outputs with good accuracy. If we try something very advanced, like build a new DEX, solve the scalability dilemma, so these kind of big questions, probably 99% chance that you need to have a technical co-founder or CTO for that. AIs, they wouldn't allow you to go that far. Okay. In this camp, we are guiding the changes, the suggestions one by one, small steps and all. AI should be, let's say, 89% precise to guide you there, even without you putting the actual lines of code. But very often, you need to code the things that are novel. New game mechanics, new token economics, and now you need to code it like manually with a developer, with a co-founder, CTO, or dev agency for you. That would be my suggestion, my measurement for this. Is there a way to make the some bound from these tokens? Minty, I guess you're asking about the ERC20s that I mentioned, right? There is no so bound option for uh, the
ERC20 by default.
ERC20s for the Open Zeppelin. I'm checking it right now just to see if they added recently. They have 11v5 stablecoin, reward asset, governor. They have a custom one. Let me see what's that. Yeah. So I just check it. There is no so bound option there. Okay. Maybe they added recently. So for this kind of custom requirements, you would still need to code it. You can try and vibe code Solidity code with AI. It happens. No, it might not be the safest one, but it can work. And then you can implement these features of the soundbound. You cannot transfer this, or it's going to be linked to your address, to your identity, and all.
So essentially, smart contracts they by ERC20, like token smart contracts, they have the transfer function, which actually holds the logic of how they transfer. But you can actually like reprogram them to actually act in a certain way. So if you will try to transfer them, and if that condition is not met, it would fail, it would revert. Whereas, like, let's say you could, and under certain circumstances, it would pass. Otherwise, the transaction would revert. Essentially, that's how you soul bound a token.
This is a great user case, by the way, Minty. And speaking about pivots, if there's time, can you speak on the design creative side of things? Any tools or approaches to speak to that could help a solo builder that has zero design chops? So I've speaking of personal experience, I've tried to vibe design things with Cursor, Windsurf, and all. For me, the flow of applying design styles and all inside these apps is more difficult than actually configuring the tailwind configuration that you are building. Especially speaking for me, that I'm almost zero specialist at all in UX. I would prefer for myself. I would prefer going for v0.app or bolt.ne or something like that, and creating the design there and importing it for using GitHub, importing for your environment. Because in those tools, you have these design modes that you can click on things, you can ask things, make it more colorful, especially v0.app. They recently, like this month, September, they released that version of style guides. You can vibe the style guides inside v0.app. So I would do everything there first, have my style in place, and then bring to my environment to implement the actual blockchain, smart contract implementation, and all. This works better for me. I've seen some people using MCP servers with Figma, with Canva, and all that would allow you to bring pixel perfect stylings from these tools. I haven't ever used it myself, but I've seen someone doing this pitch in the workshop at Walkit. I wouldn't recommend something that I haven't tested myself yet, but I've seen some people doing that.
You could even provide context. You could like take some UX from, let's say, Pinterest or something, and provide it as a context, like, oh, I want UX that like mimics this, but for my like app slash layout, and it would try to like make it as close as possible. So you can actually, again, context actually helps when you're building with AI, because otherwise it tries to do its own thing. So the more context, the more closer like it will get to the outcome that you want. So it's the same as, like, for example, when you want to generate an image, right? Like just say like give me like an image of a cat, it would just make a generating image of a cat. But then you could like add more context, right? Things like, oh, hyper realistic cat sitting in a box like under a starry sky, and then it gets more and more realistic. So context definitely helps. But I think like for your first app, even using V0 or something, we've gotten to the point where given with the tools that you have, you get like really nice, clean UX without any things like going out of place. And that's more than enough to go live, because you want to focus on the functionality first. And if you get like a nice, clean UX, eventually as you grow and scale, you can always like come back and change.
Wonderful. Those pictures that sometimes you pass for the AI, use like multimodality. They work. I got impressed when I tried that, but they work
Oh,
very,
nice.
very scrappy way, But why to go all the way to do MCP server connection if you can just go with a print, right? So this is what Minty is asking as well. Use tools like Canva, similar to Figma and all for the precision. So for implementing this precise visual control inside Cursor, Windsurf, and all, you would there are some MCPs called Model Context Protocol (MCP) connections that you can use for the AIs, for the AI agents to be able to pull this information directly, like the style guides, the tags. I don't know specifically for Canvas, but I saw that for Figma, that it was able to pull everything exactly as it was, pixel by pixel, color by color. The thing is, like, this kind of setup is like very specific, niche setup for designers. And sometimes just passing a print screen, like Alex had, gets the idea. Maybe it's not going to be pixel perfect, but it's going to get the correct colors, the correct layout, elements, and all. And this can be good for you to get started. Unless you want it to be like the exact images and all, and then you would need to upload these for your website. You would need to, like, let's say you want to put videos. You would create those videos first with your normal video editing tools, and then you would upload that for that website and ask the AI to make the video inside the app. You would still have this creation step by step. There are some experiments that people are doing, like with 3.js, and others, that you can generate these kind of elements, videos, 3D renders, and all. But this is still a little funky, a little buggy. The visuals are not that well polished. So for now, I would still suggest generating the images, maybe even with AI, nano bananas and all, and then inputting those inside your website. The precise visual control, it's kind of tricky to have.
Quickly, let's just, if you could cover two major, let's say, things that you need to know when you're vibe coding. One is llms.txt. What it does is it pulls the context of all your documentation into a compressed format that your AI reads. So it's like, normally you say, like read the manual. Essentially, that's what you're doing. You're providing your entire. So, like, for example, the LLM's TXT of thirdweb what it would do is pull the entire documentation. For the AI, it just goes through it and it actually understands what it needs to do and how to implement that. They maybe even code snippets or things like that, instead of AI trying to guess how things work. So again, going back to the context conversation, and the other thing is MCP, which is a slightly more advanced concept, but I think like it's good to know. You don't necessarily have to use it right now, but it's like a good to know. So I'll let Matheus cover the MCPs.
Well, for this camp, let's keep it beginner friendly. All of
Okay.
those advanced tools, but I can sure
Okay.
can go to,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, like you mentioned MCP, so I was like, okay,
Yeah,
maybe.
because I do have some of them my WinSoft configuration.
But in
So,
simple terms, like how would you say MCP? It's essentially like talking to the protocol. It's pulling data.
yeah, so let me see if I find them inside my.
Without going into too technical, that's the goal here.
Yeah, I was trying to get a visual because explaining technical things without some visual elements sometimes can be tricky. Let me just see if I find them real quick with my WinSoft settings, and then I should have the MCPs somewhere here. Well, whatever, not finding. You should use it to be around here. So the idea is that we can tag those servers. For example, I have one MCP here, which is context 7 here, which is one of the tools that I have configured, MCP context 7. And then I can ask it, for example, to get context 7 is MCP 7 for getting newer versions of things. So make sure that I'm using the correct Tailwind version and all. So instead of explaining all of that for the AI myself, the AI would come here, like context 7. So this is the kind of MCP that I'm doing. The AI would come here, do this search on Tailwind, CSS, whatever, and is going to get all of the documentation, is going to pull all of the tokens from this documentation. So 700,000 tokens, it's more than what most of those AIs would fit. It would pick the correct places inside this documentation to include in my project. And I don't need to teach anything of that for the AI. Just by the protocol, the Monday Context protocol itself, the agents would know which kind of pieces of elements to pull it from here. So this is one visual example that I have in my setup. But there are others like Airbnb MCP that you can enable your AI to search for Airbnb listings without teaching the AI on how to do that. You're going to use this protocol that would create an standard for the AI to navigate to those tools. And then just by dropping it there, the AI should be able to find Airbnb listings, prices, locations, if it's available or not. So those are some drop-in capabilities that you can give for the AI, some pills that you can give for the AI that could be used, for example, Minty, for your question, could be used for design. You can use the MCP servers for design systems, for other tools, for Canva. Such that is one for Canva, but that is one for Figma. So that would be the flow.
So we need a Zillow MCP so you can buy houses using stable coins. Why
Yeah,
not? Okay, next one.
that we need a MCP, a monkey context protocol, right?
Key context.
So about security, let's recall about that. So if you connect one wallet, even if it's on testnet, but it's the same wallet as you have mainnet balance, and if somehow you compromise this wallet, um, you might think, oh, I'm safe, I'm just going to lose some testnet money, right? No, actually you're going to lose your money in mainnet as well. So what I usually recommend, taking another environment, can be either another computer, like use one computer for work, another one personal, like Ilian is asking, but can be like a virtual environment. In this computer I have right now, I have a dual boot. In the first session, I guess I was using my Windows machine. So in this session today, I'm using my Linux or the boot. So it's better for me than running a virtual machine. Um, there are many different ways to arrange that. You can use like a cloud workspace that you can hire from AWS, from Google, and then you log in that workspace and then you use it from there. Okay. If you have more than $1,000 in your wallet and you are afraid of losing that, maybe more than $100, consider using some of those techniques. I had the unfortunate experience of having some students in the past lose money, losing NFTs, and all this is not cool. Well, once my wallet with testnet, Growly testnet tokens was drained live when I was doing a session, and it was worth like $10. So Web3 is a wild place. Please stay safe out there.
Okay, yeah, actually follow up to this. How safe are you if you create a new account within your, I mean, let's say new profile? within your boot. Let's When you boot your system, you have different users. Let's say you create a new user, so it's like slightly clean environment, but not entirely. Would you consider that safe?
Yeah. I don't know how that works for Apple. I tried using Apple like 5 years ago. It didn't work well for me. But for Windows, you can, and Linux even more as well. Just make sure that you don't compromise like your file system, or the files itself. If one has administrator, the other can do. You can have access. So we're speaking about edge scenarios. There are some hacks that are targeting supply chain. We spoke about that, I guess, 2 sessions ago, or the week before. I don't recall. And these supply chain attacks, they are advanced because they can search all of your system, all of your files for a .env and for a wallet
Mm.
connection. And if your file is not encrypted, they can decrypt. They can open it. They can't decrypt, but they can open it if it's plain text and steal your crypto. So going to the extreme, you would have a new environment or a new user. I don't know how it works on Apple, but on Windows and then Linux, this can work well.
Okay. Because like most of the questions are around like most people have just like one notebook for everything. So if you were to develop and use that as your daily driver, what would you recommend then?
Yeah, this is what I do. I have one notebook, but I have dual boot. This
Yeah,
is
that's okay. That's what I meant.
and I have like $2,000 in crypto total. So for myself, I'm being like paranoid, I guess. But if you have $1 million, I would work like 10 laptops. One
Okay.
for decoy, the other one the decoy of the decoy, and I've seen people with big bags being hacked, and I don't want this to happen in this camp.
And it happens, right? Like I have friends who actually used same private key with mainnet funds that they used for testnet funds at a hackathon, and these are people who actually know what they're doing and they still make this mistake. So it's more like being careless rather than being unaware. So just like this is actually doesn't go for beginners only, like seasoned people have lost funds as well, so just be careful.
Yeah. And you can do dual boot in a Mac as well, right? Or is it
Yeah,
like locked?
yeah, you could do like, sort of like, yeah, I mean essentially you can like make like a bubble version of your environment. You could do that, but
Yeah.
again, like we want to focus on like everyday devs, like not some yeah, I mean it gets complex, but as long as you know your safety practices, you should be fine.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Okay.
I guess we've gone through that. Yeah.
Maybe we should recall everyone to send the homework form. Like
Yes.
if we're building with a team, you can submit on one per team, yes, but please tag everyone inside your team. Tag no fill everyone inside the team inside the form and tag ApeChain Hub in the socials like we had in the forum. If you want to keep build on your project later, of course you can. There's the same link that they're going to put in the form, the same repository and all. You can keep pushing the changes. It's not a problem, but let's try and create this momentum of everyone posting at the same time, creating the filling the forms at the same time. So we have 30, 40 submissions like we had last week and keep up with everyone. If you still need to watch some of the previous sessions and all, no big deal, but don't let it snowball. Next week we go live, we go to production, maybe even to mainnet, depending on how things go. So let's make sure we are on track.
Yeah. Yeah, going back to the homework, and like tagging ApeChain Hub, it also makes it easier for us to discover your projects, because I've gone through some of the builds. They've shared it on the Discord, some of them on Telegram as well. It just like, as long as there is a public link available, like someone will go and try it out for give you feedback, things like that. So keep up the momentum. And yeah, also follow up would be, we will share the venture miner windsurf promo code. It gives you 1 month of the pro plan. And also the third web code will be shared. I mean, it was going to be shared today, but the session got delayed. And also there was like the third thing, I'll ping you. Yeah, I think there was the question around how you actually set up your environment. We could just send you a short guide how you set up your environment if you want to do development, if you want to develop using the same computer as well as your daily system.
Yeah. And in next session, we are also going to speak about integration with ApeChain directly, right? The
Yep.
wallets and all. That's going to be a fair packet one. 2 for the price of 1. Next Thursday. Good. Guess that's it. Was a good one, yes. A lot of content.
Even with slight hiccups of Cursor, we still managed to like showcase what we wanted to do, which is the goal of this program. It gives you a sense of how you can progress, and after that, you have the whole flexibility to actually like play around with this, learn more, experiment more.
Yeah, the thing that I was planning to spend 2 minutes on it, I spent 20, and the things that I was planning to spend half an hour on it, I spent 10. So it balanced it well. Like the vibes were with us today.
All right, perfect. I think we can end this stream here.
Thank you everyone for joining. See you on Thursday for more.
Thank you. Bye bye. ApeChain on top. Bye.